Hi, I want to share the end result of my collaboration with the mystery envelope. We were sent a mystery envelope. I participated in a wonderful, fun collaboration with six other YouTube artists, sponsored by a YouTube artist here named Bea Grob, and she's a mixed media artist and fabulous. She lives in Switzerland, and she sent me this fabulous envelope, and inside it came book pages and a big piece of fabric and just all sorts of stuff. And this is what I have left from it. And the goal was to use 70% of what she sent to you. And I'll show you what I came up with. I will also link in the description box below the opening of that mystery envelope so you can see exactly how it all came. Well, this is what I have left. I did use 70% of what she sent. She sent these beautiful vintage book pages, a really nice piece of fabric. I had a map page. This ribbon was wrapped around a piece of watercolor paper, and she sent it in this brown envelope, and you can tell it was like a piece, like a card made from chipboard a little bit. And this is what I've made from what she sent. And I kind of got carried away, you guys. It was super fun. I made all of these little badges, and I got really into it. And the one can you tell I got into it? I got really into it. She sent this little silver ring, these beautiful little mother of pearl flowers. You could add anything you wanted to it. I just added wire. This little plastic, I don't know exactly what it is, like a flower. I added the pearl and the wire. So I made all these little badges, and some of them I intend on making paperclip embellishments with so they can stick on a page, and others I wanted to make put a pin so you could wear it like a lapel pin. And these are the little books that I fell in love with making, and I'm going to show you how to make that. That is what I'm going to show you how to make. I was inspired to make these lapel pins or these little ribbons by the fun little bits and pieces she sent, because looking at them, I wasn't quite sure. I liked them individually. I didn't want to paint them. I wanted to use them just as they were. So that's how they came out. So the first thing I did was I took that envelope that she sent me, and I cut it into a size that I would like in 3 pieces, as you can see. And I glued it onto a piece of the map page, or in this case, this was it was a paper from like tobacco or something. It was really cool, like a wax paper. She did send me some book pages. This one I decoupaged the book pages on the inside of. This one I haven't done anything to. The book pages were a little brittle to use as a junk journal, so that's why I didn't do it. So that's the first step, 3 pieces. Then you want to miter the corners, and then you want to glue it down. And you want to do it just the way you did when you were a kid and you covered a book in school. So you want to glue them, all the pieces down. Then you want to take your piece that you've glued down, and you want to just burnish the little spaces in between from the other side and then from this side. This one I also did book pages in. The reason being is when you close it, you don't want it to rip, and that's why you also leave the little space. It's generally the width of the chipboard. This might have been a little bit bigger, but it doesn't really matter. So then the next step would be to make your pages. So I made these small books, have the watercolor paper that she sent. Or no, this one isn't. Maybe this is just copy paper. One of them I did watercolor paper in. This one is just a little junk journal, just little bits and pieces I had. You want to leave the outside page of your book bigger than the inside signature. And the reason why is when you glue it down, you want there to be some room so that it doesn't rip. So then the next step I did was took a piece of wire and I made a little loop on it, just with a pair of pliers. And you want to glue or tape that down to the back, whatever you feel is the back of your book. Let me see which one. Okay, so this will be the back. So I'm going to go ahead and glue and tape that down. And the reason being is because it needs to be sturdy, because you're going to connect it to these other jump rings that you've made. And you need this to be a sturdy jump ring inside the book. Now I happen to cover this particular one with masking tape just because that's what I had. You know, you do want to put something pliable in there if you don't want to decoupage a bunch of book pages in it. So I'm gonna tape this with masking tape and then add some glue to it as well to glue the jump ring in. And your piece of wire doesn't need to be this long. This is just what I had. So that's what we're gonna do really quick here. This collaboration was so fun. I can't wait to see what everyone else created. I'm sure whatever they created was amazing. It was such a fun collaboration. It was such a eclectic group of artists. And it'll be fun. We all got the same supplies. Or similar. You know, maybe not the exact same fabric, but we got something similar. Okay, and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue, and then I'm going to add some tape on this piece to tape it down. Now the one thing is you can't be in a hurry with this part of it because you want your piece to adhere well. And if you're in a hurry, or if you think you're going to make this and then you want it to dry thoroughly before you add it on to your ribbon, before you want to hang it down from your piece of ribbon or your fabric or whatever you use. So you could do fabric, you could put book cloth, you could do whatever you wanted. I just happen to have this tape. Now, some of you may want to go even a little bit more sturdier than I am and use some E6000 because that will definitely hold it in. So, and then the next step is you want to go ahead and glue your pages into the book. So I got kind of obsessed and a little bit carried away with making these little books. And I'm thinking I may make them as Christmas ornaments, or make them as to give to. I have a daughter that's still in school, to give to her teacher, like make her one as a lapel pin. But you could just instead of adding the pin back to it, you could add a grommet on the top and a Christmas hook. And if her teacher this year has dogs, so I was thinking maybe I would get a couple of small pictures of her dogs and put them in, or maybe have my daughter draw a picture of the dogs or something like that. You definitely want to. I've got glue all over this brush, that's why I'm trying not to touch it very well. Touch it down at the bottom. I've got glue everywhere. So they're fun. They're fun little book. It's a fun little project to make. It takes virtually no supplies. You can make it out of. I'm sure that all of you have some sort of chipboard cereal box or something like that. So all you want to do is go ahead and line up your pages. Now these pages are going to be a little bit bigger. The two back covers, and I'm going to let them dry, and then I'm going to cut them off. Or I can trim them now. It doesn't really matter, one or the other. I didn't put any glue in the center and where the book actually folds, just so that it has some give to it. I don't think these books are going to be, they're not going to be handled a lot, especially if you make them as like an ornament, or you make them as a or a lapel pin. I don't think they're going to be open and closed a lot, but you don't want to you don't want it to come apart. So you definitely want to take your time when you do this part, and you want to give it a good thorough amount of drying time. The longer you let it dry, the better it comes out. And I will tell you, it stiffens up with this using glue on it. stiffens up. Well, I could trim those now, but let's see. And then you want to let it be. You don't want to add your ribbon onto it at this point because manipulating that wire, I guess you could if you put some E6000 or you put some super glue or something like that on it, but I didn't. I think I did on one of the other ones. Anyway, but you get the idea. So you should probably let this dry and not mess with it, but I just can't help myself. I'll let the front cover dry before I mess with it anymore. Okay, but you get the idea, right? And you want this hook to be on the back, and you want to let it thoroughly dry before you add it to your ribbon. Okay, so this one's fairly dry. It could have dried. It's not totally dry, but it's fairly dry. So what you want to do is I just cut a piece of ribbon, and I mitered the corners a little, and I stuck it through this, and this is what it looks like. I made this jump ring, 2 going this way, and then flipping it over, and 3 wraps going that way. Just because you need it so that it hangs correctly. So you can just put your ribbon through one end, and then the other end you have open for your book. And this one has a little tiny opening, and then I can also close it back afterwards. And you can decide if you want to do your pen or your, depending upon what you're going to do, if you want to put a pin on it, or you want to put, you could even put those magnets. I don't know how many of you have used those magnets instead of the pens instead of pens so that they don't, ruin your clothes. Or you could go ahead and add your paper clip. Now what I did with mine is I just added some glue. I just used white glue, this Alien's tacky glue, and tacked it down. But you could use Fabri-Tac, you could use whatever you want. This book is a little bit bigger than the others, and also if you wanted to, these stayed closed shut because what I did when they were drying was I put something heavy on top of them. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please check out all the other artists. This was a real inspiration to me. It's always fun for me to see what other people do with the same materials I have. I hope this inspires you to make something for yourself. And as always, from my heart to your heart, I'm sending you so much aloha. Until next time.